In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace a rear lower control arm in a Chevy Malibu, located in the rear suspension. Remove the tire is a 19mm socket. So before we start this job, you're going to need a pull jack or a jack and support this rear control arm. You want to make sure it's stable and jack it up a little bit and take some pressure off of it. So we're going to remove our lower shock bolt and nut, 21mm wrench and socket. Now we're going to remove our lower control arm knuckle to control arm bolt, 21mm wrench and socket. Now we're going to our sway bar link and we're going to remove this lower bolt, and that is a 15mm socket and wrench. Now we're going to take that pull jack and we're going to lower the control arm, keeping slow, light tension on it so we can get that coil spring right out of the way, and then we'll work on that last cam bolt. And that's just the shock moving. There we go. Move that out of the way. There's no more tension on that coil spring. We set that aside. So now before we loosen this cam bolt out, because it has an adjustment on it, I'm going to take a nice bright crayon and I'm going to mark my cam bushing, the actual washer that's got the angle to it, so we can put it back in and get it as close as possible before we go for the alignment. So I'm going to put an 18mm wrench on the head of the bolt and a socket on this side, 18mm for both. So I'm going to use like a little cold chisel, see if I can break this free. There we go. Now you can get your screwdriver or a flat edge. Work that up in there, side by side. So our lower cam bolt, adjustment bolt here is frozen, it's rusty. I have to use an air chisel to get it out, and I've already ordered the new one. It's on its way. So let's get it out the rest of the way. And then take that down. So this is our cam adjustment bolt, and you can see how rusty it is. That's why I always like pre-order stuff when I'm going to go do suspension, because you never know what you're going to run into. So now you're going to take your control arm and put it back in that subframe, and I have the new cam bolts, and I cleaned up that bracket, or bushing shall I say, and I put some copper never sees in there, because you want to get that to be able to spin for the alignment properly. So now we can let that hang for a little bit. So now we put our new cam adjustment bolt through, and I'm going to put the washer on. That's actually the cam adjustment. And I have my old washer right here with the alignments. So we want the oval shape. If I line this up, it's perfect right there. So it was basically the washer was perfect between the adjusters, straight up and down. So now I'm going to put my nut on. Just setting it there because now we can continue assembly. So now I'm going to install the coil spring, and you'll see the flat spot right here on that control arm. Line up that insulator, that flat spot. Get that in place. And now this is where you're going to have to tilt it just a hair to line up the top. And once you get that in place, make sure you get your lower sway bar link in. Now get your pole jack. We're going to raise our lower control arm back up into place so we can attach it to the knuckle. Make sure you keep lining things up as it goes. Get that sway bar link in place. Just take your time, make sure everything lines up. And that coil spring has got quite a bit of pressure, so you want to make sure you're going at a good pace here, not rushing it. So now we have that sway bar link almost lined up. I like to use what we call an awl. If you can use a Phillips screwdriver, something with a point. When you're ever lining things up, it's like one of the easiest things to do. Instead of ruining the head of the bolt, just get your awl and set it up. Now I'm going to go from the other side. Now I can use that as a guide and help move that around. Just like that. Take a little bit more pressure off it, and then just give it a tap. Now I'm going to put the nut on the other side. And now let's line up our shock. I'm going to grab my awl or a pry bar, something to help get that lined up. There we go. Center it. Get your bolt started. Get your nut on. And now we're going to jack it up the rest of the way and get that right inside that control arm. I'm just using my pry bar to line it up. Once those bushings are in, I'll bring it all the way up. Now with the pry bar guiding it, I'm going to pull down a little bit and then line my bolt up. Because that bottom of that knuckle has a pivot point to it, so you can move it around. Now, by leaving the jack pole or your floor jack, you want to keep pressure on this so that it's not on a heavy load, it's equal, because we're going to tighten these all up at 21 millimeter. Now I'm just going to snug them, then we'll tighten them to factory specs. Both are 21 millimeter. So the torque spec for the knuckle to control arm and the shock to control arm are exactly the same. 118 foot-pounds, and then an additional 90 to 105 degrees. So we're set this for 118 foot-pounds right now. Let's tighten it that way. I'm going to do both because it's preset to 118. Then we'll turn each one an additional. Okay, now I'm going to set my torque wrench to, the range is 90 to 105. I'm going to do 100 degrees. Starting at the shock bolt, and we'll do this right to 100 degrees. I'm going to turn my wrench around. Maybe it will work for me. Now let's do the outer. So So now we're going to snug that sway bar link. It's a 15mm socket and wrench on the back side. And we're going to bottom this out. And then we'll get our torque wrench. It's 43 foot-pounds. So 15mm socket and wrench on the back, and we're going to torque the sway bar link lower bolt to 43 foot-pounds. Now before we line our markings up on our cam bolt, we're going to snug this nut on so that washer will sit into that guide. Just like that. Perfect. I don't want to squeeze it or torque it because I'm going to look at my washer one more time and I'm going to make sure it's lined up the best it was. And the back side of this aftermarket bolt, cam adjustment bolt, the bolt head is a 17mm. So with that, I can turn this to get that to be adjusted, which I think I just did perfectly. So that's where I want the marks here, here, and here. So basically 3, 9, and 12 for that flat washer to sit in that camber adjustment, right about there. I'm gonna hold that steady. I'm gonna get a 15mm socket and I'm gonna torque that down. So like I said, the aftermarket cam bolt is a 17 on this side, 15 on this side, and the torque spec for this lower control arm bolt to the subframe is 66 foot-pounds. So we have our cam adjustment right where we want it, and we're gonna just snug this nut right on this bolt. I still have the jack holding the support, so it's like a ride height. Now we're gonna remove our pole jack or floor jack, whatever you're using. Whenever it comes to any suspension work, make sure you get an alignment afterwards. Mount your wheel, get your lug nuts, starting by hand. As you can see, there's 5 total. And when we tighten them, we're going to tighten them in a star pattern. It's a 19mm socket. And we're just going to bottom them out and then torque them to specs. The torque spec is 100 foot-pounds. We're going to do it in a star or crisscross pattern. Just double check. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.